Hello, 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 and welcome to IVF in Your Pocket, your waiting room companion. I'm your host, Alexandra Gary Stock. I'm a therapist in San Francisco, California, offering tips and tools to help navigate along the really intense road of IVF. Please note this is not a substitute for medical or therapy support. All right, we're going to get to our first question. This comes from a listener, N. N writes in saying, I wonder if you have any tips on how to deal with getting a baby shower invitation. One of my really good friends is pregnant and having her baby shower, and when I got the invite, my heart sank. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling terrible guilt because I want to support her, but also find her pregnancy to be very triggering and reminding me of everything that we don't have yet. Yes, this is a good one. Thank you so much for your question. I think this comes up a lot. You know, people on the IVF journey are going to be triggered by all kinds of things that they might not have been triggered by before. I think this is maybe for some one of the most unexpected experiences on the IVF journey. So I think it's important to know these sensitive areas that are going to bring up really intense feelings that might not have come up had you not been on this journey. I think that's mostly what people mean when they say trigger, that you're having an intense emotional experience. Sometimes that feels overwhelming in a way where you need to take care of yourself and step away. And so I think the first important thing is to try to assess what these triggering events are going to be. They're different for everyone. Some people aren't necessarily triggered by seeing baby bumps or hearing pregnancy announcements or seeing Instagram photos of babies or Halloween costumes. These can be typical things that bring up a lot of feelings for people. And of course, the dreaded baby shower invite. So for a lot of people, on the IVF journey, getting an invitation to a baby shower and attending a baby shower is just excruciating and agonizing. And so it's a very sensitive experience to both want to support and be present for this big celebration of your friend, but also need to protect yourself and take care of yourself. So it's really learning to strike a balance. And so I'm going to talk about ways to do that and go over some more concrete tools of how to cope with some of these really intense feelings that can come up when one is invited to, say, a baby shower, and that feels just awful. So the first thing is to kind of identify what areas trigger you the most. So you can kind of expect that you're going to be overwhelmed with feeling. That could be a portion that stands out for you the most about the baby shower. It could be something else for you, like seeing a pregnancy announcement. So the first thing is to be as prepared as possible. Of course, there are these moments that can sneak up and unexpectedly overwhelm. But it might be helpful to try to get a sense of what is the most particularly upsetting moment that you might anticipate at the event, should you decide to go. It's really important, as I say in most of these episodes, I think this is so true in life itself, but certainly when one is on a path that is so fragile in terms of feelings and experiences and unexpected information and twists and turns, that there's a space you hold for yourself, inside yourself, where your feelings are all accepted and valid. And it's likely that you might have multiple big feelings. And that's really, really expected and okay. You could feel rage, you could feel shame, you could feel sadness, you could feel disappointment, you could feel defeat. You might feel all of those big things all at once, and that's totally okay. And really allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to have space, all the space, infinite space inside for all the feelings that might come up that feel particularly overwhelming when you're triggered by something like a baby shower or a baby shower invite. That is a really important initial step in dealing with these feelings, is giving them so much space and realizing that multiple feelings can exist at the same time. And you're not a bad friend, you're not a bad person for not feeling all the joy for your friend. You've been on your own path, and that is what it is. And you can have happiness and upset all at once, or perhaps you don't feel happiness, and that's okay. That speaks to maybe how distressing this has been. The next thing to do is to try to see and determine, and you might do that with some help or a supportive person. Ask yourself and do a self check-in about whether going is going to help you and be something that you can do, or if it's going to hinder. So I talk about the help or hinder in another episode about talking to IVF with family and friends, but it's another good thing to think about here. Is it going to hinder you in a way where you feel like you can use some coping and get through, and your motivation and goal is bigger than what it feels like it's going to take away, meaning you feel more that you want to support your friend and you feel confident you can cope, then that is your answer. It seems like you might go. It also might be that it just feels like it's going to hinder too much. You're too fragile. It's going to be too exhausting to try to deal with the agony that might come up during the shower, and it's best if you step back and protect yourself. So that's the assessment that is really required here. A little self-care check-in about, is this something that feels like it's going to be okay for you? Or is it something that's going to cause more distress? It's also great if you are listening and you are in a place where you are about to have a baby shower. It is great to think about your friends who might be in this situation that you once were. Or if you're somehow listening and not on the IVF path, this is being such a good friend to think about those that are going through a fertility journey or who have had loss or something traumatic related or around pregnancy and loss, to give them an out right away. So you send a little note with your invite explaining that you understand if this, and that you might need to celebrate with them a different way because coming to your shower is going to bring up a lot. That is an amazing supportive friend thing to think about and to offer. And then if you're still on the journey like N is and deciding whether you want to attend the baby shower, there's a lot of ways to reach out to this friend and just let them know through text, through email, that you want to celebrate in a different kind of way with them that feels more supportive to you. Maybe that's something one-on-one, that if you have shared with them your journey, that you're too much for you right now, it's too overwhelming, you trust they will understand, and you want to celebrate with them in a different kind of way. So that's an option if it is in your self-care check-in about whether you want to go. It turns out that it's going to feel too overwhelming. If you do decide to go, let's go over some tips that might help you get through the event in a way that feels more protective. The first really good one is to come up with what we call some coping statements or mantras to repeat, so that you can repeat these to yourself during the event. These are very individual. It's really specific to you, what might work for you, but it's something that feels hopeful for you. Like, this too shall pass. I'll get here at some point. It's going to work out one way or the other. I've done hard things. I'm here to support my friend. my love for my friend is taking center stage right now. It could be a whole set of mantras that feel really good to you, that help you feel more grounded and not overwhelmed with whatever emotions are flooding you. And then the other tool that's really great is this idea of checking out so you can check back in. So that is actually just taking a moment. Maybe you go into the restroom and listen to some calming music, look at a really wonderful image on your phone that gives you relief, pull up a couple friends' voice, actually go in and text a supportive friend that you're really struggling. Whatever that looks like, it could be you're in the bathroom doing some yoga poses or listening to this podcast episode, or maybe doing some meditation or pulling up the Calm app or some kind of other very soothing exercise to help you reground, and just taking a minute to be with yourself and maybe even give yourself a pep talk. So checking out so you can check back in, and then you can go hopefully feel a little bit more calm and grounded, and then can go back and return to the event. It's good to go into the baby shower or any kind of an event or situation that you might feel an overwhelm of emotions with your coping toolbox. And that is something that you create that works for you. It maybe looks different for each person, what gives them some calm and what helps them feel supported in that moment. The other thing that's really helpful in these kinds of situations is to go in with some ideas of how you might respond when someone might say something that is off-putting or feels insensitive, how you want to respond. If you want to respond with a statement, or if you want to then again check out so you can check back in that moment, but have a plan, as well as have a plan for those moments you need to step away when there's a moment you anticipate in the event that might be a little bit more overwhelming than some of the other moments. Well, thank you so much for this really important question, and I'm so glad you wrote in. I hope some of this is helpful, and I hope you find some peace, a bit of peace around all this. Well, that concludes our episode for today. Thank you so much for listening. Please, if you have something on your mind, something that you've been struggling with right now, please feel free, and I encourage you to reach out at my website, alexandragarystock.com, or send me an email at alexandrapsychotherapy@gmail.com. Of course, all information is kept confidential. I don't share any personal information here. And I do try to respond to all questions and hopefully incorporate one in the next upcoming episode. Until then, remember, you are not alone.